yourself.
Cool.
So welcome to the show, Luke.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming all the way out here. You literally went all the way across the entire United States, coast to coast.
Miami to San Jose and here.
Yeah. How do you like the weather here?
I love it because Miami is so humid and the cold briskness is here, and then you got the fall as well. So I absolutely love that.
Yeah, we needed you to come back in about 2 months when the trees start changing colors. That's when it's really nice.
All the super fallness comes down because there's no seasons in Miami at all.
Yeah, so you don't get like the orange leaves and all that kind of stuff.
You get like 65, 70 degrees. That's winter, and it's not the best thing. But like I love fall.
Yeah.
Same. Hoodie and shorts. That's bonfires, campfires. That's my season.
Yeah, same. My favorite too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like summer. I'm like, no, I like fall, especially around here because of it's actually the season.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Favorite season for sure.
Awesome. So what do you think about, you came up to the center yesterday, and I'm really glad you did because you got a chance to get a graduation and learn more about the program, and it kind of brought you back, we were talking about.
Yeah, so like obviously when we got there, we looked around a little bit and you took us to the graduation, and the first lady, like I got teary-eyed when she was talking about graduating from phase 3, and like all these emotions are going through my mind of like when I was in rehab, and it was just like you said, it brought me back, and it was just so like gratitude and like just kind of like from looking at my past from where I'm at today, and it just brought so much humility and gratitude, you know, and then seeing what you're doing, like we were talking earlier with my wife at breakfast about like how you have everything put together. It's not just like you're just doing this little thing or whatever. You have a whole system, the team, you have like a full blueprint for everybody to have success. You know, phase 1 or detox, phase 1, 2, 3, the staff, the programs, everything. So I want to congratulate on that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a long time in the coming, but you know, that's the advantage I have of many years of experience is building and growing and building and growing. Yeah. So
beautiful.
Awesome. I appreciate that. So your history, you actually have recovery in your past and your history. And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So long story short, it basically kind of started happening when I was 14, 15 years old. All I knew was football. Football was life. I lived, breathed, ate football. And year round, going to all these camps, Ohio State, Kansas State camps. And
first of all, what was your position?
Linebacker. Defense.
Yeah.
I'm not an offense person. You don't get to hit people.
Yeah.
I love hitting people.
You want to get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I absolutely love what I did, and I was really good at it. And going into my junior year, I hurt my shoulder. And hurting my shoulder, like everything kind of stopped. Next thing I know, I had surgery on my shoulder. I got put on Vicodin, and it wasn't too bad at that point. But then my senior year, I had scholarships to D2. I probably would have made D1. I'm maybe not a huge school, but definitely D1 school. And my senior year, they actually had to shave off bone because my shoulder regrew wrong. It's because I was going through a growth spurt, and it had to shave it off, have surgery again. So literally in 2 years, it goes from complete, you know, jock, celebrity in my school, like I was that person or whatever have you, plus that was life. And it got all taken away over, 2 years. So no football, no anything. In the second year, I had to go to get surgery again, put me on Vicodin again. And that's when like the painkillers started getting bad. And on the other side of, using pills was, the celebrity of the jock and everything like that void of being that person. And, oh, hey, Luke, how we doing, bro? Blah, 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 blah. Goes completely away. Because, like, that's my identity. That's my ego. That's who I am as a football player.
Especially at that age. How old were you?
16, 17.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard.
And then going to that, I was like, okay, well, I started smoking weed. And I realized, naive at the time, like, you can make money off this, and I started,
not off smoking weed, off selling it.
Selling it, yeah.
Because if you made money off smoking it, I would have been like a millionaire.
Yeah, no doubt. And I started making money off it, and then, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it big. And I started being really, really good at it. And next thing I know, I started making, my first six figures at 17, multiple six figures at 18, 19, 20.
That's a crazy amount of money for someone that age.
Exactly. So I'm looking at school. I'm like, my mom's like, you need to go to school. I'm skipping the first half of the day. I'm like, it has nothing what I want. I'm learning from these people that don't have what I want either. It's all about who you listen to. And I barely graduated high school. I'm, doing pills here and there, but it's starting to get more aggressive. And when I hit 18, I dropped out of college. So I raised my hand one day. I'm like, Miss Smith. And I was like, in business school. And I'm like, do you run a business? She's like, no. I'm like, okay. Do you make six figures a year? She's like, no. I'm like, so why am I learning how to run a business that you don't run a business that you don't make money off it either? She kicked me out of class. So
did she know what you were talking about?
I don't think so. It went way over her head.
Yeah.
And she just felt threatened or, as being a whatever. Yeah. And she kicked me out. I told my mom I was going to drop out of college. So I did. And I didn't really have any direction. So I was like, I remember I made a mental decision that I'm going to be the biggest trafficker, income producing, whatever in my area. And I started making, $250,000 a year at 20, 21. And next thing I know, I'm not just using Vicodin, I'm using harder painkillers. And, kind of filling that void of like, I knew deep down that I didn't want to be a drug dealer, but at the same time, like I love the money, the freedom, the time freedom, the financial freedom of it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like that lifestyle has got to be very addicting, especially for somebody at that age.
And that's kind of what it transpired to is like, I have an addiction to painkillers, and then I also have an addiction to the lifestyle. Of the fast money. I'm going to Miami, going to California, going to Cancun. Like I have complete time freedom, financial freedom.
Well, let me ask you this. Were you flashy? I mean, I think of Miami, I think flashy. Was it like obvious, like this guy's doing something?
I was that, this is 2008, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
And I had the rims on the car. Yeah. I had the super loud system, speaker box. You could hear me 2-3 miles away. You're in the car, you can't even hear yourself self-talk. I was that person. Nice. I was very flashy, very in your face, and so forth. And I remember getting pulled over by the cops, and they would instantly interrogate me. Yeah. Because I knew who I was. And I was that deep in the game, so to speak. And going into when I was probably about 21, I started getting in trouble. Because I would get like a minor consumption at 18, 19, whatever, a small thing here, whatever. But then I started doing a weekend in jail. And I did a week in jail. I'm like, man, this is not really what I want. But it wasn't my rock bottom. And when I hit 20 years old, I actually did a morphine one time. And next thing I know, I overdosed. And I don't remember anything. I woke up in the hospital, handcuffed to the bar or whatever. And they're like, yeah, you overdosed, you died. I was like, oh, man. And my mom's there. I'm like, am I in trouble? They actually let me go or whatever. But
did your mom find you in that condition or somebody?
Friends did. Yeah. So I was with my friend, and gratefully they called the hospital or 911.
And I am going to say that is a grateful thing because not nowadays. It's probably always been this way. But people who are in that situation, they fear for their own either
getting in trouble.
And they literally let people die because of their own fears. And so I'm really glad your friends were not those kind of friends. I was
at their house, and I don't know if there was a mom. I don't know anything. I just remember doing it, and then literally waking up in the hospital. Wow. And sad to say though, like that wasn't my rock bottom. Next thing I know, I got out. 2-3 days later, I probably got right back on painkillers and everything like that. It wasn't really, and I'm so grateful for the second part because I went to jail. I went to jail for 6 months, and I got released from jail. And then I was like, I'm gonna be a smarter drug dealer. And I didn't really get on the painkillers that much after that, because I was on probation 3 counties. I don't know how you do that. And I got out of jail for about 2 months.
That's a lot of urine tests you probably had to take.
And you're dealing with 3 different counties.
Right.
So 3 different probation officers. Yeah. You got to report to 3 different people. Talk about all the paperwork and the money that goes to it. It's just crazy. And 2 months later, I get out of jail and I violate 1 probation. So I go into jail in that county, and then I'm like, okay, I can't get bailed out because I'm on probation. So I violate the probation in the other 2 counties. So I do, it's called like a county, you go around the county. So I go in this county for 2-3 months, and I go here for about 90 days, and then like here for like a week or 2. So I went to 3 different counties in 6 months. But the beautiful thing apart that second time I did 6 months was I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And he talks about decision making. And that was my rock bottom. Is I was tired of hurting my family, stealing from people, selling drugs, and all of this. That was my rock bottom. I made a decision. I'll never go back to that lifestyle. That, 4th day, and I'll never forget. I was like, this is done. Because I thought I was going to be that 50-year-old, that 60-year-old that's just, just weighing weed and, trapping and everything like that.
If you live that long in that lifestyle, I mean, that would be shocking to actually survive that long. Yeah.
My mom always said that because she's like, you're going to end up dying.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not like the other people.
I'm a smart addict. I'm a smart.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm not going to get caught. I'm not going to die. Even though, looking back a year ago, I did that.
Yeah.
I just got brought back to life, and I thought I was like kind of above the junkie. Right. I was a privileged or higher level than the normal drug dealer, classy.
Yeah.
And that was so furthest from the truth, and next thing I know, I get out of jail. I was court ordered to go to rehab and for 3 months and live in a halfway house for a year. So that was probably the second best thing of my journeys besides going to jail, because jail was kind of like what at the rehab center. It got me clarity. It gave me structure. It got me clean.
Yeah.
Because that was my rehab at the beginning. So I felt like I had, when I did go to rehab, I had 6 months on top of people because I was already reading books, working out. Like in jail, you got spades, a card game, and working out. Yeah, that was all I had. Yeah. And reading books. So that was my, cleaning my system and getting just mental clarity.
But good on you, because there is a lot of drugs in the jails and the prisons. The fact that you could stay away from that in that stressful situation means you really did want to make a change.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you got all the gangs. I was very by myself, because you have the white supremacy over here. You have the Hispanics, you have the African American, and I wasn't allowed to play spades with the Latinos over here. So I had to stay to my race, and it was very shocking to me. So once again, I thought I was the college campus drug dealer, the upper class or whatever, and now I'm with gangs. I was like, this is not where I want to be. And I get out of jail, court order, go to rehab. Live in a halfway house, and then that's kind of where my whole life started shifting. Is I got a better relationship with God, higher power, source, whatever you want to call it. I started, life started building off each other. I got a job at Lowe's, working $9 an hour. I was so grateful for that. And looking back, it's I'm very entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But it was so cool for me because I was on the legit lifestyle, and I didn't have a car, no license. Now I'm on probation 3 counties as well. And I'm really trying to go through the motions to really change my life. And I didn't have a car, so I had to save up for a car to get a different job. But that was probably the most humble, because I had all this money, travel, the big man on campus, whatever. And now no car, no job, no license.
So you lost all that money
Everything
that you were making. You didn't have any of it tucked away under a mattress or in a bank or anything.
No.
Oh man.
So it's
that's that lifestyle though. You just think it's never gonna stop. So you just blow it as soon as you blow it as fast as you make it.
Mm-hmm. And but that was my second life, my second chance of life. So I died, so that was my first. And this was my second time. So going into 3 phases of my life of where, I was the jock, everything when it comes to football, the celebrity, whatever, then into the drug dealing, and now into the life that I have now. So I'm so grateful to have, second, third, fourth opportunities to change my life. And that's when I got involved with the gym, started working at a gym, met my wife, got into entrepreneurship, Forex and crypto. But when I tell my story, oh man, I feel so bad for you. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I'm so grateful for it. Because that was my rock bottom. If I didn't have the me dying and or the jail, I would have kept going and going and going. And I'm going to push the limit. Yeah. And that was, you know, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, to put that shift and make that fork in the road for me to go the next way. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for it.
I love that. Well, and I really think that a lot of us are better off who have, and I don't want to say better off, like people who haven't gone through adversity don't have good lives. But I think it forces us to have to dig and grow and confront stuff and trauma and different things that other people who've had maybe a really like decent life don't have to dig deep and get there.
Yeah, there's so much with it, and like that's I went through things that no book, no teacher could teach me. You know, it was real life experience, and I take those same lessons and I applied it to the gym. I worked at the gym. I take those same lessons and apply it to entrepreneurship. The streets taught me how to read people, you know, on how to, like, you know, because I've been held at gunpoint before. I've been robbed before, you know. So like in business, you know, they don't have a gun, but it's a contract, you know. So you got to read those people to understand what the contract says. So they're not trying to get over you and either steal from you without a gun, or going to steal from you in a contract or a business deal. So it's like the same things when it comes to like people and learning from that, because I take everything and apply it to different areas. Structure, you know, the jail taught me structure. It taught me a system. You know, wake up at this time, eat at this time. I do that with my entrepreneurship. So it's like, it's so cool how you can pick things from the past and put them to now, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of the Jocko thing, discipline equals freedom. The more we have that structure, the more we actually feel free when we have free time, or just, I love that when the more disciplined you are, the better you feel. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that, but there is a freedom there that I really enjoy.
For sure.
Yeah. And so I try to structure my day, and your wife and I were talking about this last night. Her morning routine, it's like you need that routine and that structure. And when it goes out, like for me, like when I travel, I kind of let it go out because I'm like, oh, you know, I'm traveling, I'm on vacation, but I don't always feel good. It's like I got to learn how to get that discipline in when I'm traveling.
And then one thing that you know, for everyone is like, you want the discipline, but something I've learned is you need discipline for 3 to 4 weeks, and then that's where habit takes over. And then when habit takes over, become unconscious competence. Like, most people don't think when they brush their teeth. They don't think when they tie their shoe. So if you can get in a structure, you wake up at the same time every day, you eat, you work out, you do your calls, you do your trainings, whatever, you come to a point where it's discipline for a while, but then it becomes habit, then you just don't even think. Like you wake up, boom, you do this, and this. You don't have to put that thought energy into it. It's just natural. And next thing you know, you become really, really good at it because you do it over and over and over the same way.
Which is how jail helped you, because you have that structure. Every single day. You had to, I guess you didn't have to do any of it, but you decided to do all of it. So by the time you left, you had already got some good routines in there.
Yeah, I'll never forget, like 7 a.m., chow!
Yeah.
You know, boom. They come out, you eat breakfast. I go back to sleep for a couple of hours. I wake up, lunch, I play spades for 8 hours.
I bet you were good at that, though, because you're really good at numbers. I bet you were really good at spades.
And in jail, like, they give you 3 meals a day. And if you've been to jail, longer than a week, like, you can't really survive off those 3 meals. And they're very non-nutrition. And then also, like, they just don't fill you up. Yeah. So, like, I was eating, you get creative in jail, like ramen noodles, right? So with those, like, we would make pizzas with it. We would make like some crazy concoctions. Oh yeah.
I was poor. I did the same thing, but
exactly. And
saltine crackers and barbecue sauce. It's like, get creative.
And then when I get out of jail, I get out of jail and I go to rehab. I start calling my roommates bunkies for a while, and then at the rehab center, called the day room. And you know, that's what you call in jail, like the day room. Yeah. And they're like, no, that's the lunchroom. Like, yeah, day room, bunkies, you know. And then when I'm making my food, I'm putting like the ramen in there. It's like I'm in rehab and I still don't have much income or anything. I'm working $9 an hour at Lowe's. Is I would have these bowls and I put the ramen in there, put a little Doritos or Cheetos on top, a little cheese, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean it's a bowl? Like, I just throw it all together. Like, you know, you can use a plate. I'm like, no, like this is normal for me. And I just like, I transitioned out of that by now, but those habits kind of rolled over a little bit after, for sure.
Of course. I mean, that's how I am. There's some things that'll just never change. And that's okay.
Protect my food like this a little bit.
And you always position yourself so your back is into the door.
Yes, still to this day. I kind of moved a little bit away from that, but I like to see, I don't like things behind me.
Yeah.
And like when we get in crowds, my wife and I, like when people get around me, I get super claustrophobic and I need to step away. I need to see everybody. And like if you're all behind me, movement, like it weirds me. I'm like, yo, like, what are you doing? Get up out behind me. Like, stop.
Oh yeah. Some habits never die.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got into working out. You like powerlifting.
Bodybuilding.
Bodybuilding. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you compete?
I did for 1 year. So in jail, you're doing pull-ups, push-ups, and everything like that. We get these little duffel bags, if you will, for commissary. We put like books in it and just weigh it to do curls. And working out, I think, was one of the biggest things that kind of saved my sobriety getting out. Because like when you get out, you're there with real life things. You got to kind of like, rehab was kind of sheltered, a little security, and obviously jail for sure. But now you're in the real world. You don't want to really go to a boyfriend, girlfriend in the beginning. You don't want to kind of fill those voids with, temporary things.
Well, some people want to.
Yes, some people, yeah.
But it's better if you don't.
Exactly. So working out was my feel good, was my escape. Yeah. Like a lot of people do it to like build muscle, lose weight. Yes, but in the beginning for me, that was my like get away from me. Like I can go there, all my problems cease to exist. I get all the strain, the aggression, especially aggression. Yeah. I was very angry, aggressive when I got out. So that was my place to like go Hulk mode and just get all that stress out. And next thing I know, I started working out a lot. And I was like, man, I should get a job at the gym because I love working out. And next thing I know, I get a job at the gym, and my wife now, girlfriend, or not even girlfriend at the time, she didn't want to hire me. So I was very cocky, arrogant. And there's a whole story to that. And she was like, well, I win all the bonuses like not until now in the interview, and and I was very good at sales. So from the previous, so
you sold her, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
You eventually got her.
Yep. And in doing that, like I love working out, and I was like I said, my sanctuary and everything like that. And I competed for 1 year. And competing is very, like, you have to be completely obsessed with it. Social life doesn't exist. You can't eat out. You can't travel. And it's very political and very business oriented. And it took all the fun away from it. So I did it for a year. I think I placed like second or third. And it was just like, cool. It's not for me. I'm going to still bodybuild, but just not compete.
Yeah. And do you still do that today? Is that the majority of your workout?
Oh, yeah.
Or just weightlifting?
Yeah, weightlifting. Deadlifts, squats, everything like that. And just, it's the pump is, that's where it is for me.
Do you like cardio at all?
I do like kind of like a HIIT cardio, but my cardio is more lift the weights faster.
Yes.
So I'll do like 8 to 10 minutes, 8 to 12 minutes of the incline, and that's about it to start my morning for my workout. But when it comes to like HIIT workout or, doing the ropes, like, nah, I'm cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's your deadlift? Where are you deadlifting?
Deadlift. So I probably about 365, 405 right now. Nice. I went to like kind of in my bodybuilding journey, I went to like powerlifting. And I started doing a lot more research and how like it's not so good on your joints when you hit 50, 60. So I kind of pulled away from that and more like just reps, like that 8 to 12 range. So I don't really max out anymore. But I got to a point where I was right under 500 for deadlift during my, prime days, if you will. Yeah. And now I like to rep, 365, 405 for 5 to 6 reps now.
So funny you saying prime day because you're so young still.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like you're almost 50. You're so far from that, but I get it. It's all about longevity too,
exactly.
Quality of life.
Exactly. I want to be more athletic instead of like, because there's a point where I couldn't even like reach my back. Because my chest was bigger, if you will. I'm like, I need to scratch my back, and I couldn't, and it was funny.
I like that picture. And
you're
like, wife, Crystal, can you scratch this?
Can you scratch my back?
No, I will not.
Happened all the time.
Nice. So how do you make that transition from working at the gym to what you're doing now?
So I got to a place where I became general manager. I was making right under 6 figures a year. Absolutely love what I did.
Were you still working for your wife at that point?
So what happened is she hired me. I was a rookie my first month or whatever. I broke the record, became really, really good at sales, broke the company records and all that. And 6, 8, 9 months later, basically I became her boss. So she was assistant general manager. I was sales manager, and I leapfrogged her. She didn't really want to take that GM position. So it's kind of a void, and I was really doing really well. So I kind of jumped. So I became her boss. And next thing I know, I would say probably about 2 years later, we're crushing it. We're breaking records every month, all of that. I got to a place where I was like, I love what I do, but I was kind of like self-employed. I was the job. If I didn't show up, I didn't make sales. I was hiring, firing, interviewing people, dealing with customer service, dealing with personal training. And I was just like, I'm a job operator. I'm not owning anything. Then I heard about Forex. I was like, what is Forex? This random guy, and I'm so grateful for him. He reached out to me on Facebook, and he just a simple message. He's like, hey, you look pretty successful. Do you want to be more successful? I'm like, okay. And my drug dealing days, I'm very opportunistic. If there's something to grow over here, I'm a little oh, what is that?
Yeah.
So I was very interested. He's like, he sent this video to me. It was network marketing. I'm like, is this a Ponzi? And he's like, no. I'm thinking back in my head. I was like, if it is a Ponzi and it's legal, I could run up a bag, and then the company shuts down. I still have my money. And he was talking about Forex, like stocks. He's like, stocks is small, but this is the big boy if you will. I'm like, okay. And I did a three-way call. The three-way call person closed me $200 a month. I was like, I took it home to my girlfriend at the time, now wife. I'm like, babe, I'm gonna do this Forex thing. She's like, what? What's that? I'm like, I don't really know, but it's this money-making opportunity. She's like, well, who shared it with you? I'm like, his name's Dom Ford. And she's like, well, who is he? I'm like, some random dude on Facebook. She's like, did you just meet him? I'm like, yeah. She's like, that sounds stupid. And I was like,
and shady,
super shady. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it. It's my money. I'm going to do it. And if I lose $200, I spent $200 on the most, I don't even know where the money went.
Yeah.
And
Air Jordans.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, if I lose the money, I lose $200. But if everything he's saying is true, then my life has changed. And I joined. I made my first $20 or something my first second week. I was like, man, if I can make $20, $30, I can make 20, 30 million. It's just a percentage difference. I'm very analytical with numbers. So I realized there's just a leverage difference, and I ran with it. Next thing you know, 2 months later, I stepped down as a general manager. I go from GM, general manager, to regular sales associate. And then probably about 6 months later, I go from regular sales associate to part-time. And that's where I started really kind of shifting my focus to, because I could make a day's worth of sales match to other people within 2 or 3 hours. So my psychology, work 2 or 3 hours at my job, make those sales, match what they're doing, and not over deliver. And the other 6 hours of the day, I could, focus on this network marketing business. I was like, I'm already marketing and promoting a gym and making sales. I can market and promote this network marketing company and do the exact same thing. And I started doing it. 3 months, like I said, I stepped down. A whole year after I started, I retired myself. Then 2 years from starting, I retired my fiance/wife at the time, now wife, 2 years later. So completely shifted my life from that one Facebook message from a random person, never met. He found me. He was trying to recruit me from probably a Grant Cardone page or Les Brown page that we're both commenting or liking in the page.
Yeah. Wow. And what you've done since then has been just amazing. You have a killer entrepreneur spirit, and your brain wraps around all this numbers and stuff like crazy. My brain does not think that way. Yeah, it's really impressive.
I appreciate that. Well, we had we're at Disney. We're at Disney. I'm like, babe, how much do we pay for these tickets? And she's like, I don't know, 200 a pop. I'm like, 200 people for 200 a pop times 100,000. They're making 20 million a day. 20 million a day with 10% profit margin. They're making 2-3 million a day. She's like, really? And I do that with everything. It's just how my brain works. It's because when I was seeing your spot, I was like, okay, well, how many employees does she have? How much is she paying him? Where's the money coming in? Like, it's just natural for me to get into that business model, business operations mode. And that's kind of like one of my gifts, if you will. But like numbers, business, entrepreneur, like I just love scaling businesses.
That's really awesome. And I appreciate that because, like I said, it's not my forte. I'm more thinking about the people and, you know, the purpose and all this stuff. I'm not wired in the same way. So I appreciate that a lot about you.
Of course. And like everybody has like a little gift, you know, and one thing I've learned in personalities is understanding if people are more like business or if they're like my wife, she doesn't care about the money. All she cares about is who are we helping, what are we giving back to, and you know the money is at the last. I'm like, well, you have to make the money to impact the people. So everybody's wired a little bit different to their personality.
Yeah, I love that. The other thing we were talking about last night, which we have a lot in common, is our and I guess it's newer for you, just the overall health and fitness goals. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny because I thought I was like really extreme, but you guys cracked me up because you literally bring your own water on the plane. Like I had no idea you could bring in medical water across TSA. I cannot wait to try that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I thought I was pretty healthy because I was a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You know, I ate my protein, my carbs, my fats, and the macro counting.
So you counted all that stuff.
Oh, we went to Greece, I think it was. And I always traveled with powder, which is protein powder, and a scale. And so we're in customs, like, what is this? I'm like, that's protein powder and pre-workout, and that's a scale. Why do you have a scale? To weigh my protein powder, to weigh my chicken, to weigh my rice. They're like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a bodybuilder. Like, I weigh everything. And like, I would go to Red Lobster. You know, I'm like, so how many ounces is that tilapia? I don't know. How many ounces of that chicken? Well, I need to know so I can weigh it here. And I would bring the scale with me to the restaurant, put the chicken on here. I'm like, you said this is an 8-ounce steak. This is 6.2. Like, that's a big.
Was this embarrassing for you?
And I was just back to what I was saying at the beginning of this episode. It was like unconscious competent. Like everything I would weigh, it doesn't matter what it was. And like after I kind of got out of that bodybuilder, like so, you know, deep in there or whatever, like I would still weigh my food. She's like, you're not competing, you're not like doing this. I'm like, but this is like my life for like 4 years, and I had to like get rid of the scale, if you will. But I thought I was really health conscious. The next thing you know, my wife, you know, got into yoga, chakras, and everything like that. Got super health oriented. And I'm like, wow, like I'm like a C plus. You know, where I thought I was an A-, B+, but then always drinking a gallon of water a day. The 75 hard. We went to that PJ trip, private jet trip with a Stewman and everything like that. And they're talking about all the 75 hard. I'm like, yeah, that's my life. Like working out 5 days a week. I've done that for 5 years. A gallon, like you can't drink a gallon of water a day. I'm like, yeah, that's normal. You know, so like that was very simple for me. But like getting into like what type of water. Get into greens, the microwave that we're talking about. Like, microwave is bad for you? What? Doesn't make sense. It's zapping your food. Yeah, it's warming it up. You know
it's literally taking any nutritional value that was in there out of there and replacing it with radiation. Like, how do you not think this is bad?
Yeah.
Sorry, no offense to people out there that are listening that don't realize this, but yeah it's so good.
And then when you do the research on the water, how contaminant the water really is. Now, if I drink regular water, I get headaches. My stomach like tosses and turns. I'm like, I get tummy aches because of all the pollution, well, maybe pollution with contaminants in it and so forth. And, you know, the tap water, even like filter water, when it comes to like, I know Dasani's not, but like if you look at like the ingredient label, water is not supposed to have ingredients. Salt, you know, the words you can't even pronounce, you know, and everything like that. Then we get into food, non-GMO. And like as I get more awake, if you will, or aware, I should use a better word, is like big pharma and all of that, they don't want you to be healthy. So they purposely put sugar, and if you put all the sugar in your food, you become diabetic. When you become diabetic, you go to the doctor. When you go to the doctor, you prescribe all this. So it's a whole system designed to keep the average person pushed down.
Yeah. And unhealthy, so that you're constantly relying on them. Yeah, I think about when I was growing up, that whole pyramid, and like at the bottom was like wheat and grains and like the worst thing you should gluten, just like the worst thing you should be eating. And that was like what you were supposed to be eating the most of.
Yeah.
You think about, like protein was way at the top, and just, luckily we do have the knowledge that we have, but it is insidious how through times our best interest, our health best interest wasn't always in their interest.
Oh yeah. And then you go to I've traveled to 33 countries all over the world, and especially when I go to Europe, I went to McDonald's, something so simple. I was like, these tomatoes are fresh. The lettuce is crisp.
Yeah.
Like the meat just tastes different. And when you do more research, a lot of the things in Europe the things in the United States are illegal. The contaminants or the ingredients are illegal in Europe. But here, the FDA approves it. Yeah. It's all money, hungry machine.
Yeah. Yeah, I realized that when we were in Italy, and it's all about pasta and gelato and all this stuff. But I'm looking around, I'm like, nobody's fat. Mm-hmm. And they're eating bread with every single meal, and every meal there's pasta, but nobody is overweight. Like if I ate like that back home, I would be 300 pounds. Mm-hmm. And it's because of those same things. Even though they are having those, it's better quality. It's not all the contaminants. It's not the inflammation. They're walking everywhere. They're not driving, and their overall health is so much better than ours in so many ways.
Yeah, the United States, the diabetes and overweight, it's just the numbers are astronomically huge than every other country in the world.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, way worse over the last few years, mm-hmm. where what was considered essential and not essential, and what was available to people during the pandemic and not available. It's way worse. I noticed when I went to Disney World last week, just looking at people, bodies, how different it is than a couple of years ago. You can see who, mm-hmm. unfortunately, just how we've regressed as a society in our health.
And then on the pandemic, we were in San Diego during the pandemic, and all these weed shops and dispensaries are open, alcohol stores open. Yep. I'm throwing a fit because my gym closed.
Right.
I gotta work out at home with bands. I need weights. Yeah. And then they're trying to seclude you to your apartment or house. I'm like, how is the dispensary and an alcohol store open? And that's essential. But the gym and / church, whatever denomination you believe in, is not essential. It makes no sense. And I made a post on Facebook about this we went to Disney. And I'm looking around, every kid has Coke. Has Mountain Dew or whatever, and all this horrible food they're eating. And my wife and I are kind of like the black sheep, if you will. We're the healthy ones. We got our water with us, and everybody's just pounding Coke and pop and all this candy. Candy everywhere, sugar everywhere. And these kids are basically, their mom and parents aren't teaching. They just don't know what they don't know. So they have diabetes, overweight, and it's passing the same habitual things to their kids, and it blew my mind how many people were like that.
Yeah. Also, how many people are now in scooters and needing help just to even mm-hmm. walk and be out. It was shocking. I would love to see footage of video from 3 years ago compared to now.
It's a big difference. Huge difference. And people are taking scooters everywhere. They're not walking. They're not doing simple things as walking, exercise, or anything like that. It just keeps driving the whole, the masses, if you will, down.
Well, I guess that's why it's good to have people like us, hopefully, because a lot of people just don't know. They know what they see on TV. They know what their doctor's telling them. They don't know beyond that. They trust the professionals they're telling them one thing, and they haven't mm-hmm. learned any other way. Yeah. So hopefully us talking about this and other forums, getting the word out there, people mm-hmm. will start to understand that you got to think outside the box and think for yourself, and maybe not all these things that are for your best interest are really hard for your best mm-hmm. interest.
Yeah, and enlighten people, share the message, whether it's health, whether it's financial literacy, entrepreneurship. I think we have a duty and also an obligation to the masses to show them there's another way to live, whether that's, a 9-to-5 versus entrepreneurship, whether that's clean water versus, bad water.
And when you say clean water, we're talking high pH, right?
Yes.
Just so our listeners understand. It's not just smart water. It's actually a different level.
Yeah, not the smart water or the Sencha or whatever. And this is a plastic problem, and you're buying all this bottled water that's plastic. people don't know that plastic, doesn't go away. So you're hurting the earth, and then also all the microplastics. Think of that from going from Cali to Miami. The water bottles are in the back of a trailer, right? It's heating up, and then the plastic's going to melt, get into the water. Next thing you know, it's going to Kansas. It's going to take a week, 2 weeks, however long you get over here. It's melting, going cooler, melting, going cooler. So you're drinking microplastic. You're drinking a credit card's worth of plastic, weekly, monthly, and so forth. That's put into your body. And it's just so many little things like this when it comes down to it. pH water is very, very important for sure, because, on a very science level, if we are all vibration frequencies, a lot of it trash getting super deep here really quick. If you're sending out a vibration frequency with your mind and your body, your DNA, and you're dumping all this polluted, water, food, everything, and it's going to lower your vibration frequency. When you lower your vibration frequency, you can't vibrate at a high level and attract, good things, good opportunities, businesses, people into your life. So you're going to vibrate low. When you vibrate low, you can't create. So what are you going to do? You're going to keep working that same job. So it's like a whole ecosystem that the elite, the wealthy, whatever you want to call it, propaganda is designed to keep the people low with food, water, and everything like that, lowering your vibration frequency.
Yeah, that was deep. I mean, I 100% agree and understand. I think for a lot of people, they don't understand how it's all connected, the mind, the body, the spirit. And when you really take care of one, it starts to feed and take care of all the rest as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just on that is like a lot of people don't understand vibration and frequency. And on a very, like I said, deep level is we're sending out a vibration frequency every single second. We attracted each other somehow, some way. It wasn't just by chance, right? You're sending out, hey, I want to grow my businesses. I want to help, people in the addiction world and everything like that. And that's always been something I want to do. So we meet in this mastermind, mistakenly or, off the wall. No, we attracted each other. Next thing you know, you're like, hey, you should come out to California and see the center. I'm like, yeah, of course, let's do it. Yeah. And that wasn't by coincidence. So people, you attract your partner, your friends, your family, your opportunities. I was attracting that person that reached out to me on Facebook to share with me an opportunity of my life, because I felt plateaued. I felt stuck. I couldn't make any more money. So I wanted more. So the universe, whatever you want to call that, universe, source, God, Allah, whatever, provide the situation, circumstances, opportunity to your life, to my life, whoever is listening to life, and that could be good or bad. If you're feeling bad, you're feeling horrible, you're stuck, and just like the world, sucks or whatever, you're going to get more things in your life that's going to make you feel like life more sucks. So it's so important to know and be aware of what you're feeling, because ultimately your feeling that you're vibrating is the most important feeling.
I love that. And it makes so much sense because we talk about, different methodologies where it sort of plays into the victim, like, oh, you poor thing, no wonder that happened. No wonder this happened to you. And people, and I know I did this, you're right, look what happened to me. It almost gave me an excuse to behave and do whatever I want, but it also kept me at a very low level because I was just the victim of circumstance as opposed to the creator of my own universe. And
on that, I love what we're talking about now. Because this is what I teach at a very high level. So like when we have to take 100% responsibility of our life, if your life sucks, you're broke, your husband, wife cheated on you, you created that. You attracted that. So when we take 100% responsibility, now we're not the victim, we're creating. So now we can create, because like, hey, I created, I lost my job. I created me getting, diabetes. I created instead of like, oh, poor me, this happened to me. No, this happened for you. You created so you can grow through it. So now when we take 100% responsibility, you can create and attract better things in your life. But you got to make this like an addiction. You got to accept it. You got to acknowledge it. Damn, I'm an alcoholic. I have an addiction to this, and this. But now you're taking ownership for it. Now you can make that change. You can get help. You can reach out to your program. You can get clean and so forth. But until you admit it and acknowledge it, then you're just in denial.
100%. Well, and that's why I really struggle with the, addiction or alcoholism is a disease. It's like that, again, implies, me poor thing, this just happened to me. It's like, in a very rare circumstance where babies are born, addicted to crack. Very rare. But you created that situation. It does not just happen to you. You actively did things to get there. Right or wrong, there's trauma, there's all kinds of reasons why people end up the way they do. But again, if you allow yourself to be a victim of a disease, are you really becoming causative over overcoming this addiction?
It's like a cause and effect.
Yeah.
And if you're just playing on the other side of it, like, oh, well, these are the cards that dealt. I'm addicted to meth, cocaine, whatever, and you're speaking that. When you're broke physically, you don't want to speak I am broke, because you're literally speaking that into existence. I'm having a rough time. I don't have money right now. So when you are identifying with alcoholic, you're speaking the addiction into existence. So no wonder you're broke. No wonder you're on coke or whatever drug you choose, and you want to speak it as not as your ego or you identify with it, but it's something that you went through. You know what I mean? So I'm a football player. No, you're a human being that plays football. Well, I'm a doctor. No, you're a human being. You get super deep. You're not really a human being. You're a soul. You're a spirit. We can go there if you want, but your occupation is a doctor. So we're not alcoholics or we're not addicted. That's just something that we went through, and so forth. It's like we were talking, I think, last night about, say if I was diabetic and I was 300 pounds, 400 pounds, I'm not fat anymore. I was fat. So say you can apply that to, being alcoholic, addiction, and everything.
Yeah, and you don't want to be defined by a label. Like so many people, that's why they like our program, because they've been labeled their whole lives. Mm-hmm. You have ADHD, you are an addict, you possibly have bipolar, you have this, you have that. And it's the labels that really just mess a person up, because they start to identify with that label as opposed to, having the feeling that they can not be those things. They kind of just go, okay, I guess that's my lot in life. This professional is telling me this is who I am, so I am.
And like that, someone else is telling you. So now you're giving control over that person, situation, or whatever, where you're not actually taking the control. It's like if I'm making you mad, I'm not making you mad. You're making yourself mad. You're letting me control your feelings. Letting an outside circumstance or person control the internal. You got to control the internal to control the outside. You can't let the outside control the internal.
Yeah. Well, and it is it's a lifelong process. Like I'll catch myself, like I'm trying to run out the door. I forgot my keys or this. I'm like, God damn it, you're being an idiot. And I'm like, wait, stop. You're not being an idiot. You're just being forgetful. Let's be mindful right now. And so I try to, and now I'm able to sort of catch it right away, as opposed to in the past where, I felt like I was being responsible by checking myself. But I realized that that's not really like helpful to put yourself. Now, I'm not saying, like you and I talked about, when we want to get like really like into something, you want someone like kind of yelling at you and pushing you. Not saying I don't like that or don't want to do that, but you also just have to be careful not to give yourself that negative self-talk where that becomes part of who you are and you believe it.
Exactly. And I love what you just said on that, is because like being aware of it, that's the first thing. And if you're listening on here, you're not going to go from 1 to 10, go to 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. And I used to say, this sucks, or I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed. I'm like, dang, I keep saying this over and over and over. So broaden the vocabulary. I'm peeved.
Yeah.
I don't like this, instead of saying this sucks. This isn't really what I choose to feel, instead of, and lowering the word from going like, oh, this is horrible, this sucks, I'm annoyed, and being aware is the first thing. So now I catch myself, instead of saying I'm annoyed, like, man, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And my wife will catch me. She's like, like kind of like that little nod, like, yeah, you're getting it, And at some level, I'm gonna completely remove I'm annoyed to not even thinking that. I'm gonna get unconscious comment and say, I'm a little peeved with this. That could be a normal. I'm pissed.
Yeah.
This sucks. Like, I wonder what I'm gonna learn out of this.
100%. And that's how I've gotten too. It's like when things aren't going right, I'm like, okay, what is it I'm supposed to be getting right now? I immediately go into trying to analyze the situation, not being upset by it, but like, why is this happening? What am I supposed to get out of this situation?
So many times I went through an investment play opportunity, whatever, and I didn't go quite well. A partner did a little whatever, and I'm like, man, it's gonna be so amazing to see how this works out. And I was talking to my wife again, and I was kind of playing the tape of how this doesn't go well, what's going to happen. And I'm like, what worrying is negative goal setting. And I was negative goal setting for a week. And I was like, man, if this doesn't play out, I have to refund these people. This is going to happen. I'm going to lose some money, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was like, wait, how about I need to focus on what I really want? What I really want is all our clients to get everything they want, our clients to, make money and so forth. So that's what I kept focused on. Next thing I know, I did that for a day or two. I started writing the affirmation. I get a call from someone out of the blue. He's like, yo, bro, he shared this, things with me of how he can solve my problem out of the blue. Next thing you know, we solved the whole issue. But I was negative goal setting for a week or two. I was playing the tape of if this doesn't happen, this is going to happen. And this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And I stayed my mind in that. So I was creating the negative. And I had to get the awareness, do the affirmations, write it down. And next thing I know, my solution happened in one day.
That's amazing. And at first I was like, what do you mean by negative goal setting? But I totally understand, because there's been so many times in my journey, as a CEO and everything else, where things have been rough. Like we've literally, do I got to lay people off? Do we got to fire people? Are we talking about pay cuts? Like what do we do? And people are like, well, what's your plan B? And I'm like, I don't have a plan B.
Plan B is
like,
plan A work.
Yeah, what do you mean plan B? And people almost shamed me for not having my plan B. And then, and then as I started being around more, people on a different level, they're like, that's good to not have a plan B. Then you don't have your negative goal setting. You're not preparing for the worst. Your attention isn't on, if this fails, here's what I got to do. You're basically all in on what you're doing, and the intentions are pure, and you're going to figure it out. And I'm living proof of that a million times over by never having a plan B while we're still here.
Yeah, and that's why you always have success. Because if you're always focused on making it happen, you're going to make it happen. And when you give yourself a plan B, a way out, I dislike, not hate, I'm using all these, catching myself, is the word try. When you try something, you're ultimately giving yourself a way out. When you ultimately give yourself a way out, you're not committed. When you're not committed, you're not going to make it happen. So it's a whole mindset shift of your plan B is to make plan A work. That's period. Like, that's it, period. No matter what happens, I'm going to make it happen. So when you make that commitment, you're always focused on the solutions. You're always focused on making it happen. So the universe is going to provide situations, circumstances, opportunities for you to make it happen. Next thing you know, you get that one call, that one client, that one deal, that one thing, that one opportunity to make it happen. Like, yo, this wasn't even on my radar screen. Like, where did this came out of left field? Well, the universe is always working for you. So while you think your awareness is right here, the universe's awareness is everything. So it's going to provide that person, that relationship. You're at Starbucks and you bump into someone, and next thing you know, they become your business partner. Yo, where did this even come from? Well, the universe is always working for you if you're always focused on what your chief aim, what your goal and desire is.
I love that. Yeah, it was funny. I drug my son along to all these different masterminds and groups that we did, and at the end of it, I was like, well, what did you get out of that? And he's like, I don't know. I forget what he said. I was like, well, what did you observe from me? Because you were real quick to point out all the things you thought I was doing wrong. He's a teenager, but, well, he's more than 20, whatever. He's a young man. What did you see that I was doing right? He's like, you're really good at just going up and talking to people. But it's because of that. Like, a big book that molded me was Celestine Prophecy, where it's like, there are no coincidences, but you've got to put yourself out there in different situations to attract or find that next thing. If you sort of sit, waiting for something to happen, it'll never happen. So for me, I just take a million shots, and one of these shots are going to be the thing, or a lot of these shots will be the thing, but it is the thing to do where you just put yourself out there more and more and more, and then you have more opportunity to attract or pull in the things that you want.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of assumption, and I assume that, so like when we were coming out here, and I'm like, man, we're going to do this podcast. I'm going to see the unit, but I'm so excited to see what's not even on my radar screen to happen. Maybe, I meet one of the clients, ANGIE, maybe, we create this little model to help it grow, whatever it is. So I'm always assuming the best out of it. And I'm always aware, like, when I go into a situation or I travel somewhere, that something's going to work out, and it's going to be that next step to the next level for me. And just like you said, like when we go to these masterminds, like I have an intention of like, who am I going to meet? Well, where's that networking? It's going to lead to that relationship, getting that phone number. That phone number is going to get me. Like, I had no idea what Ryan Stewman's thing was. I went to this private jet. You heard of Apex? No, what's that? Well, why are you on this trip? Oh, I saw a private jet, a mastermind in Cabo. I mean, I'm a mastermind with some high level people. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Yeah. You know? And that led to getting into the club. That led to you. That led to us coming here. So that one decision, you know, the ripple effect is we're sitting right here, right now.
I love that. And again, it's just trusting the universe and being okay with when things don't appear like they're going right, there's a bigger purpose behind that. And that's one thing. And of course, I have a lot of years of experience to have seen it from every direction. But when things don't go right, my first inclination isn't like, damn it, that was my only shot. That was this. I think that didn't go right for a reason because there's something better. You got to always have that faith that when things don't appear to go right, it's because there's something better coming.
And like on failure, you know, people are like, a lot of people, and even me, when I was 18, 19, I didn't want to try to do something because of failing. Like, well, I don't think I'm good at that. Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. You know, and failure is part of success. You know, Thomas Edison, you know, the famous quote he figured out the light bulb, how not to do the light bulb 10,000 times. You are only one shot at changing your life. You could fail 10,000 times, you know, and be successful one time. And that one time is going to 10x, 100x those 10,000 losses. So instead of looking at failure as even failure, look at it as a stepping stone to get to the next level. Where it's like, damn, I failed at this. Well, I'm close to the next level. Well, it's not even failure. It's just, hey, you know, I swung the bat and I struck out. Well, there's all-stars in baseball that strike out left and right and, you know, 50 times a year, but they're still making $200-300 million a year or over their whole contract or whatever. And because it's just part of the game, you have to, quote unquote, fail to succeed. It's one step got to fail forward to that ultimate goal.
Yeah, it reminds me of Stephen Curry, right? So he's like the most prolific shooter of all time. He'll have terrible games though, where it's like, oh, he's gonna get in his head. He's like, no, he's not.
Keep shooting.
He's just gonna keep shooting. He's gonna shoot his way out of it. You have a bad game, it doesn't matter. He has the confidence to know that a few bad games, a few missed shots doesn't matter to him. He's still gonna make it happen.
Yep. In the trading game, we talk about you can have a bad day, but a winning week. A bad week, but a winning month. A bad month, but a winning quarter. A bad quarter, but a winning year. And it's the same thing. You just got to keep shooting. You can't get in your head. You can't get, you know, in the flunk or whatever, the funk. You just got to keep swinging, keep shooting, keep networking, keep getting phone numbers, keep being on the calls. You know, especially in network marketing, when I first got started, there's a book called Go for No. And so many people quit entrepreneurship, especially network marketing, because when they try to recruit people, no, you're not making money yet. It's a scam. It's a Ponzi, blah, blah, blah. But every no is closer to a yes. And you got to go through 10, 15 no's to get a couple of yeses. And that's where people get all antsy or whatever because so many people are telling them no. But you have to go through that to get it. It's like finding gold. You're not looking for the dirt. You got to scoop however many times and shovel, dirt, and then get to the goal.
Do you think we've gotten worse as a society due to the, you know, everybody gets a participation. There aren't always winners or losers, where it kind of lets us settle for mediocre and not pushing harder to get to the goal, no matter like how much work. Like I know for a lot of kids that their new goal is to be a viral YouTuber. Like they want that one video. Now I'm going to be famous. And so it doesn't seem like there's as much understanding that hard work and getting the no's gets you closer to the yes, gets you closer to success. They just want the instant, like, I'm there.
I really, really, really dislike participation trophies. And I was listening to an audio of one of my mentors, and he was talking about society, the government, higher class, whatever, wealthy elite. They do that on purpose, and they program and use that propaganda because when everybody gets a participation trophy, it doesn't make the people that are going above and beyond really try that hard. You know, they do the same thing with taxes. If you're getting taxed at 30-40% a year, why would I go be a millionaire when 400,000 is taken away? Why not just make it $500,000 at a lower tax rate? But getting back to this is if everybody's getting a trophy and I'm winning first place and I'm sacrificing, getting up early, I'm going to practice 2-3 more times a day, whatever. why am I going to go strive so hard when I'm getting the same trophy as a person that's not doing crap, that's not taking this seriously? So like when my kid, we talked about with my wife about this, when my kid quote unquote doesn't make it make the team, they don't get first place, like, hey, you did absolutely amazing, you did your best. At the same time, you didn't get first. We have to do a couple things different if you really want to get the first place. So it's like that. It's called sandwiching. I forget the exact term, but it's like you lift them up, you give them a little criticism, and then you lift them up again. It's like I think it's like crust, the middle, and then the crust. But back to my point is, with that is, teaching kids that there's a big difference, because when it gets to sports, but I'm talking about like a lot about sports and entrepreneurship. But when it comes to that, is like there's a big difference. You don't want to celebrate the people that are just trying and just pass the ribbon, or finish the race, as the same as the person that's sacrificing 10x that finished first, second, third.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's important for us to sort of swing that pendulum back to the other direction, so that people do work harder. They don't settle. They don't become comfortable. They don't just like exist. Like I have, and it's kind of funny because we teach in our program, work balance life, the wheel of life, like overcoming addiction. It's good to have balance, because as addicts, we're very lopsided in one direction or another. So we teach that, but then I have staff who are like, oh, I need my time off, I need my weekends, I need my mental health, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but if you really want to kick ass in life, you got to do more than that. You got to sacrifice somewhat in some of these other areas to really be like the top or the number one. Yep. So it's an interesting dichotomy, because you want people to have balance, but at the same time, you want them to push hard so that they can achieve better things.
I love this topic. So this might be a little, I don't want to say controversial, but if you're listening out here, it's more for like the people that want to really, really excel. The people that want to make minimum 10, 15, 20,000 a month. If you're trying to be that person and make 25, 50, 100,000 a month, a millionaire, substantial amount of success and income, you're going to have to get unbalanced. There's no such thing as being balanced when it comes to super success. You have to absolutely sacrifice in a good way the first year, 2 years, then you can become a little bit more balanced. You gotta get unbalanced to get balanced. If you want crazy amount of success, if you want to make 50,000 a year, live a mediocre life, be content with that, hey, do your thing, whatever makes you happy. But if you want to really, really excel, be the best, Kobe Bryant, he did 3 practices a day. He lived, ate, breathed sports, basketball. So I like the same thing when it comes to sports. It's entrepreneurship. It's the same kind of psychology. So if you really want to be the best in your industry, your profession, whatever it is, you're going to have to get up early, stay up late. My first 2-3 years, I did a Zoom, and I probably would have downed it a little bit. That's why I got so successful. Like 2 days before our wedding, I'm doing a Zoom call, and like it is what it is. But like I wanted that success so freaking bad. Because I knew what it was going to take, that if I sacrifice that first 2 years, 3 years, my whole life is set for the rest of my life. And now it is. But you're going to have to make that sacrifice in the beginning. And then also, energy, it works like this. So if you ask, you're going to receive. There's a really good book on asking, you shall receive, just like in the Bible. It's the same thing. So if you ask the universe for $1 million a year, 100K, 50K a year or month, whatever you're asking for, the universe is going to provide it. You're going to have your hand out. The universe is going to provide everything you ask. But in turn, the universe is going to ask for things as well. Early mornings, late nights, buy this course, go to this event, join this mastermind, spend money here, spend money there, get ad spend, do these networking things, get frustrated, whatever. There's got to be an exchange. So you have to be able to be willing to make that change. You got to be coachable and teachable to make that change as well.
Wow, I love that. So now, again, I draw a parallel. So addict, CrossFit, entrepreneur. There's like a similarity there. I think that's why, like, I put CrossFit in the program, because it works really well for those with an addictive type personality. But I also see a big translation with entrepreneurship. If you're an addict, you're out there hustling. You got to take care of your habit. You got to, dodge cops. There's a lot you got to do.
I've never met a crackhead that didn't get the crack and complain, oh, I'm just going to sit here all day and not get my high. No, they're going to go out and get it.
Yeah, they know how to hustle. That's what I tell people. Like, my staff are the best staff because they all used to be addicts. They know how to work. They know how to hustle. They know how to make stuff go right. It's just a different kind of mentality.
Yeah, it's the decision making. They made a decision. I'm going to get this substance, or in entrepreneurship, I'm going to hit my goal. I don't know how. I don't know when. I don't know how it's all going to play out, but I know the end's going to be hit. You know, so it's the same. I love what you just said. It's the same as in the streets. You apply it to, business. You apply it to entrepreneurship. And you apply it to sports. It's the same obsession and focus. There's a really good book called Power of Focus by Jack Canfield. Power of focus is like one of the super traits as a human being. That is literally focus and obsession. And people are like, oh, you're obsessed with it. It's bad to be obsessed. All you think about is success and money and blah, blah, blah. That is such a gift. A gift that you can completely put your windshield wipers on. You can put your shades on and just be 100%. This is all that matters. When we're, my girlfriend at the time, I've grown a lot more loving and gracious and relationship focused. But in the beginning, she would give me a hug and she's like, babe, what are you thinking about? I'm like this far away from this rank. I got to do this to hit this. And she's like, you're not embracing this moment. I'm like, I was just so focused on the goal. All that mattered was the goal, and a lot's changed since then. Like I said, more focused on a relationship and everything and grew. But in the beginning, you got to be 100% focused on what you want. You cut out, there's distractions and desires. When you focus on the desire, write a goal down, focus on that goal, the universe is going to give you things to make sure you really want that goal. And sometimes you got to cut out that boyfriend, that girlfriend, that toxic relationships, sometimes the people, the places and things. I didn't think I deserved a day off my first 2 years. I would see people go in the club, and I had money at that time. I was in the come up, but my mom was still working. My girlfriend, fiance, wife, at the time was still working. I was still working, so I didn't deserve to go out and have fun yet. I had to really bump, and I'm not saying you got to be this, crazy or whatever. That's just my journey. Is I had to really sacrifice in the beginning because I knew what I wanted, and I didn't deserve to get to have the fun yet because I still have my goals to achieve. And that obsession, that focus is such a gift.
Yeah, and for you, you've got to see the dollar for dollar payoff. I think, if you're not in something that you love or you're passionate about, you can put in all that time and effort, but not get the end result because you're not really doing what you should be doing or what your true purpose or passion in life is, and it won't pay.
And then when you're sacrificing, to me, it wasn't really a sacrifice. I love creating this life that we have today. I love the back testing on trading. I love creating my app. I love creating my course with a passion. I was looking forward to it. It was a passion and purpose driven, so I don't look at it as hey, I got to clock in today. I got to put in this 9 to 5, 9 to 9 hours. If I was awake, I was working. I would wake up, get on my phone, boom, 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 throughout the whole day. 1 a.m., midnight, I'm closing out. My wife's like, hey, put your phone down. But I enjoyed it. It's not like I have to do this. This is something I enjoy and love doing. So make sure, like you said, whatever you're doing, you enjoy it. You're having fun with it. It's something that you can build and create with your own life.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. I always say being an addict was the best thing that ever happened to me because it put me on my path so young. And when you and I were talking last night about, our next steps and next levels and different investors, they want you, when's your close? What's your exit look like? And I'm always like, what exit? Why would I go do anything else? This is my passion and purpose. I love this. Even if I had, $5 billion, this is what I would want to do. This is what I love doing. I have my group, my friends, we're helping people. What else could I want to do in life? Exactly. So, I think probably some part of me has put up some barriers there because that's not my end game. That's not what I want.
Yeah, no doubt. And someone asked me literally 2 weeks ago, Luke, why do you keep doing what you're doing? You became a multimillionaire. You're doing all this stuff. Why do you still do the events? Why do you still hop on calls and do Zooms and travel? You could be on a beach, sipping margaritas, whatever, and, living the lifestyle. And I'm like, because that's boring. Like, I don't want to just sit at home and like, oh, I made all this money. Let me watch football all day, every day, and watch all these cartoons. Like, I love doing this. Like, I came out here so I enjoy. I wanted to see your facility, see what you got going on, and travel. And like, this is part of life. It's what keeps you alive. And my grandpa, when I don't know, 7, 8 years old, he still works to this day. He's 85, 86, something like that. And he said this to me, and I'll never forget. He says, you're either busy living or busy dying. And that just kind of really stood home for me. And it was like, I always want to keep growing. I have this addiction to growth, addiction to keep getting to that next level. What's next? And you're like, one of our friends, my wife and I, she's like, when is it enough? Like, it's never enough. Yeah. Like, well, same thing with drugs. You can never get enough drugs. Same thing. I can never get enough feel good, growth, success, because I find joy and love and passion chasing the success. And success isn't just money. It's not material stuff. It's a happy family. Getting having beautiful kids. Working on a relationship. Just getting better in different areas of your life. That's, for me, that's what success is.
I love that. Yeah, again, I'll reference my son. We're doing this Disney thing, and he's like, I'm looking at you, how you're spending money, and I'm like, for me, this is experience. You can't take it with you. Like, I love experiences. My love language is spending time together. So for me, I'm happily like spending my money on these things because it's creating memories. It's creating these things. Whereas, just having a giant bank account isn't going to make me happy. That's not happiness to me. It's security, and it gives you freedom, but at the same time, it's not creating those lasting memories that are more important to me than a big fat bank account.
Exactly. And memories, experiences, and relationships. That's what I want to be rich in.
Yeah.
So like when I'm 80, 90 years old, I don't want to be like, dang, we could have traveled here, did this, coulda, shoulda, woulda, and live with regret. I want to live with purpose every single day. If it's spending money to do something, I want to do that. And that's why I strive so hard in the beginning, because it wasn't like I wanted to have all this money. I wanted to have like FU money to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and how I wanted at any time.
Yeah.
So like if I don't want to do something, or if I want to retire my mom, I can. I want to fly out here to this country to visit it, I can. There's nothing really holding me back. And that was what really strived me to have more impact, to help with rehab centers, to give back, to the ocean, clean ocean, human trafficking. Those are like 3 big things when it comes to giving back to society. Is the rehab centers, addictions, juveniles under one umbrella. Then you have the cleaning the oceans, and then human trafficking. And we're talking about like the whole fentanyl epidemic. Like I need a lot of money to have a lot of impact. So my goal as a billionaire by I'm 35 is 3 years. So with making $100 million a month, I can have so freaking much impact. That's what it's about to me. It's like, well, Luke, I just want to help people. Well, it's going to be really hard to help people making $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Your bills are taken care of. You can't really do so much. You might be able to help a little bit, but the money equals the impact.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, and you're smart, because that's what a lot of our mentors in these masterminds tell us is it's not about being an influencer. It's about making an impact. Mm-hmm. And again, this is where I feel very lucky, because I have the perfect vehicle to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to back up just one little thing you said, which is kind of what I live by is the regret thing. And for me, the only regrets I've ever had are when I felt like I should have done something and I didn't do it, or, well, that was pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Everything else, I'll just go do it. And if it fails, it fails. But I only regret the things where I had that thought I should do this, and then I didn't do it. Yeah. I know.
Taking the action and everything like that. That's just putting yourself out there. You never know what's going to happen by, joining that group or making that decision. And you never want to, like you said, look back and like, man, I should have booked that flight, or I should have shook that hand, or I should have asked for that phone number. Ask that girl out on a date. Just ask. If you fail, you whatever. It's okay. Life's going to go on. But the price of regret is going to outweigh way more than not doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, am I too aggressive? I'm kind of aggressive, but it's because of that. I just don't want to live with the regret of like, you could have did it and you didn't, and now you'll never know. So yeah.
100%.
I love that. So is there any last words you have for our listeners? Maybe some final thoughts or anything that you haven't fully communicated that?
So like to kind of recap or, give back, I would say, find your purpose and find whatever you truly want to do in life. And that's going to be really hard in the beginning, but, go out and try to figure out, like, if it's entrepreneurship, go take that chance. You gotta, don't let life limit you, and you can do anything you want in this life. You have literally a magic genie right here, right now. You have to ask in order to receive. So go out there and experience things. Take those trips. Live like today was your last day, and don't limit yourself to just, there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5 or just a job, but only having a job. Break the matrix, if you want to call it, break the system, and go out and be everything you wanted to be. Take out 100 goals and write 100 goals, see what you really want in life, and like I said, you can have whatever you want if you ask for it. So my message to everybody listening out here is to really take a look at themselves, ask them what they truly want. If you had all the money, all the resources, all the network, what would you do with your life? Write that down. Focus on that every single day. And the most important thing is to feel good about what you want, because when you feel good, you're going to attract that feel good back into your life. You're going to get that person that makes you feel good. You're going to get that opportunity that makes you feel good, and so forth. So I'm excited to be here with you and everything like that, and a jam-packed day for the rest of the day as well.
Yeah, well, and I'm so glad you guys came out here. I'm excited to hear you speak up at the center for the clients. I think they're going to get a lot out of it. You have a course that you've done that very much aligns with our methodology and philosophy. We didn't even get a chance to talk about that. Do you want to tell our listeners, is that something available? Or?
Yeah, really quick. So I come from a Bob Proctor network, and we got personal coaching, my wife and I, from him. And one of my missions in life is to teach people spiritual laws of success. So it might sound crazy or witchcraft, but there's a thing called law of attraction. And there's a really good book called Think and Grow Rich. I think I referenced it earlier. And what I teach, investing, making money, wealth circle, all that, yes. But ultimately, if you can create with your mind, you're going to create the physical with your thoughts. Sounds fairly crazy if this is brand new material to you. But what my specialty and my enlightenment and giving back to this world is to teach people how to really create with their thoughts and create with the spiritual laws. 99% of success is created with us, is on the spiritual side, where the systems, the funnels, the lead generation, the closers on your team, whatever, is all the 1%. The 99% is creating with thoughts. So what I like to teach, I've been to 33 countries, like I mentioned, all over the world, 250,000 students worldwide. Is my mission is to impact 100 million people. And I know through my course, my teaching, my inner circle, that I can literally help someone create. So we have a funding program, right? So you can get funding up to 150,000 a year. Now we can take that funding, put it into automation. Now you're generating 10, 15% a month. And then when you do that, you take it to put into another automation, right? Now you have two assets create income. So what's that create? Time freedom. So now you can take that time freedom and go and create whatever you want in life. So you don't have to work that job that you hate. So I fully believe that I can take someone, that is broke and or, is at least coachable and teachable to get them results, get them success, and get them time for financial freedom. So I have a course, you can find me on Instagram, LongMoneyLuke, and Luke LUC. And I'm always here to help people. So my course is right there to teach you the mindset of spiritual laws, so you can go out there and create the life that you truly desire.
You make it sound so easy.
It's not easy, it's simple.
You're right. And I think that's part of the world is we overcomplicate everything, and it doesn't have to be that complicated.
It's as easy or as good as you think. Like, look, that's too good to be true. You're right, it is, if you think it is. If you think it is, you're right. If you think it's not, you're also right.
Exactly. So which right do you want to be?
Exactly. You're good right.
I agree. Thank you so much for coming out. This has been awesome.
Thank you guys for having us. My wife and I, everything you're showing us and everything and inviting us out here. I really, really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, let's go kick ass up at the center.
Let's do it.
Nice.